Hey, welcome back to Fake Deep Thinking. Just a group of friends sitting down talking about news, culture, and even politics. We got John in the house.
What's up?
We got Doc.
Yo.
Ian in the figurative back. Were you just hacking a loogie? What
I
was
know,
that?
right?
That was supposed to be a snore, but that was just terrible.
And myself, Eugene. Just do a sound effect next time. All right. There you go. There you go. All right. So today we're going to jump back into politics. It's been a couple weeks. So we got a little bit of political news. The first one I think is funny. We got the future Gandhi going here, wannabe Gandhi. And then we got some drama when it comes to the Texas border with these buoys. We're going to start off with the more lighthearted one because a lot of jokes I think we can crack here. I know John's going to spit fire once we start reading into it. So let's read a little bit and let's start sharing our opinions. So we have, quote, squad rep Greg Cesar mocked for 9-hour, quote, thirst strike. That's just skipping breakfast. Yeah, it's the cat just playing with it. Let me just turn it on so we can do the fucking sound effect.
Oh, it was like he bought a bird, like a parrot or something, a parakeet.
My cats like to attack birds. Whenever I let them outside, we see random feathers in the yard sometimes, and it's like, sheesh, they're in the hunt mode. So I thought I'd get like one of these little bird things that tweets and like shakes its wings to facilitate a bird action. They'd probably like it, and Kari's been freaking salivating all over that damn thing. Ian went to go pick it up, and he was like, "Why is this thing so wet?"
Because he's trying to be murdered.
I literally had it for 30 minutes. I was like, "Oh, this is cool and new," and it was just my hand was soaked.
Rowdy.
Disgusting. All right, let me get back to this. Progressive Rep Greg Cesar, D. Texas, a new member of the squad, faces waves of mockery on Twitter, you mean X, about his, quote, thirst strike protest lasting less than 10 hours. I'm pretty sure it was 8 hours, not 9, but who's counting? Yesterday was incredible. I was honored to be joined at my thirst strike by workers in Texas and across the nation, and lots of colleagues pushing for federal heat safety protections. The congressman tweeted Wednesday, 9 hours without water or food, but I'm more energized than ever to get this done. Many commenters across the Twitter saw the demonstration as far less of an achievement, with some claiming the premise of his protest was not even accurate in the first place. Democrat Greg Cesar went 8 hours without eating or drinking something. To normal Americans, that's just skipping breakfast or lunch at work. Canary CEO Dane K. Eckbert tweeted, "To him, it's a hunger strike that he set up media cameras for once it was over. What a pathetic stunt." He staged an 8-hour hunger and thirst strike. American Tribune founder Jason Robertson wrote, "Today he will follow up with skipping breakfast for climate change." What an absolute joke, the official account representing MRC TV wrote. Not eating or drinking for 8 hours is just called forgetting to have lunch while at work. Many commentators joke that already go through similar durations without drinking as part of their daily routine, such as when they sleep. I go on a thirst strike literally every night at bedtime, Blaze TV host Sarah Gonzalez tweeted.
That's a good one. That's pretty fucking good.
Just woke up from my thirst strike, the Spectator contribute editor Stephen L. Miller joked. Man, totally forgot to brag about how I pulled off a Rep Greg Cesar style thirst strike last night with zero prep. Republican social media and digital strategist Alex Sears equipped. All I did was go to bed and not get up until my alarm rang. And it's basically just a bunch of people with their opinions. If you want to click on the tweet real quick, Ian from Greg Cesar just gets a few pictures. One specifically is him obviously going through his strike. I think it's the
Did he
second picture.
document the hours of his strike and everything?
Probably.
Like 2 hours in,
Probably.
3 hours in, I'm starting to see signs. My lips are chapped.
Was he outside doing this?
Yeah, he was at the Capitol. He went to the Capitol on the stairs and he just, I guess, hung out there
For 8 hours?
for 8 hours.
Yeah, okay, that's a little bit better.
Okay.
I thought he was like
Again, I'm sorry. Honestly,
Is it a little bit better?
I tuned out
Yeah.
half of the shit that sounded stupid. What was this cause?
So in Texas, they recently removed. So there used to be a law that stated every worker, construction worker, and like field worker in Texas had a mandatory water break, and the governor revoked that law or repealed it, I guess.
It says right here he held a blah 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 held a strike to draw attention to the need for a federal workplace heat standard, including protections for the rest and water breaks. It comes as much as the U.S. has experienced record-breaking heat this summer.
And
I
so
agree with his cause.
Yeah, he said, quote, "We need federal protections from the Biden administration as soon as we can get them, especially for next summer, which we know could be even hotter than this one."
yeah, I do agree with like what he's talking about because I don't know, it's a weird fucking mess, the whole water issue. So essentially, like the Democrats are obviously using it to leverage against Abbott because Abbott is Republican, so they're just trying to bring him down. But it's like I don't know where they go with it. Abbott, the reason why he revoked it is because he says there's too much red tape on it. Because if I think it's like a statewide law, and then from that law, there's also municipality laws and stuff like that. And so nobody can really kind of figure out when to give these people water breaks. So he took away the state law to just say, hey, whenever you guys want to designate water breaks, that's when you can do it. You don't have to worry about the state law, like
It's
basically.
still mandatory though. Correct? Am I
So
correct?
no. So the state law forced it to be mandatory. Like you could not have a company, a construction company, and have workers out without giving them a water break by state law. But and this is the part I don't know. There's also like a municipality laws that interact with it in some way, and it made it really fucking confusing on when to give these people state law water breaks.
So
Well, that
basically,
means
it
his
was
gesture.
an enforceable issue, enforcing issue.
That means his gesture made sense.
And see, like that's kind of
He
what I
stayed
get. Like
outside. He stayed outside, which construction workers would do. He only did it for 8 hours, which is an 8 hour shift. So even the jokes that were saying, "Oh yeah, that's just like working all day without drinking water." I think that was literally the point.
I didn't put
That's
that
it.
together, but
I
yeah.
I mean I get what you're saying. I guess what we're kind of forgetting is he's not doing any of the manual labor to facilitate the actual need for the water. Like
No, I agree with that,
was he
but
work?
that also proves the point that if he's not doing manual labor, that he needs the water and he's struggling to do the 8 hours right in front of the. I mean, regardless of whatever it is, I'm pretty sure it was hot that day in Texas.
Oh
eight
yeah, it's
hours
been
without
100
drinking.
degrees pretty consistently.
Same with Georgia. So 8 hours in the sun. Like our offices are attached to warehouses, dude. When I walk into the warehouse, I'm there for maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes at a time because like it's blistering heat. So if you're just talking about that, then 8 hours is enough time to feel very uncomfortable to the point where you would not want to return to that job. So if he did 8 hours out there, I don't think it was like, oh, it was a real challenge for him. I get you're poking jokes at the how little effort he might have actually had to put in. Also, in the back of his mind, he knows he's only doing this for a publicity stunt. So the tolerance is really higher because you know you're only there for one day. But this is one of those things where I say people focus on the action instead of like the
The
purpose.
purpose.
Where it's like you
That
want to
makes
poke
sense. That's fair.
because you want to poke fun at him because you're saying he didn't do much, right? But the same sentence is he didn't do much and was still uncomfortable. So if he's not doing much and still uncomfortable, even further proves his point when these people make these jokes that people work in construction in warehouses or in places aren't um, air conditioned would really be suffering. Like they'd be suffering badly. So I think it should be mandatory because I'll tell you in Georgia, anything that's not mandatory, I don't want to say I don't like when the government interferes with too many things, but to me that's one of the things. You don't have to say it has to be a long water break, but if your job is heat intensive, you should get a water break. Like that's
Outside
not
period.
See, that's the thing I
yeah,
don't
like
really get because it sounds like humane to just be like, yeah, dude, give these guys water when
it's
they're working in the
water.
sun. And so I
You
don't
Honestly,
say that,
understand
but I'll tell you
why he repealed it. And like just how big the knot is with these laws that it made more sense to take it away.
yeah, I just want to know
you
the
say that.
specifics.
Go ahead, G.
I just want to know specifics, like why exactly it was revoked. Like my issue with stuff like this is was the opportunity there to stage a protest to bring attention to yourself. Like it sounds like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like there's no mandatory water breaks. Oh, we should strike to show why we need water breaks, and at the same time, let me do this big publicity stunt to bring attention and awareness to my campaign, so I can maintain my job that is an elected official. I'm speaking from a very cynical, nihilistic place. Like I just don't trust politicians on the right or the left. I remember talking to my dad about something like this. Like I just don't trust politicians. Like we were talking about specifically DeSantis. He's a politician. I just don't. I'm so cynical about politicians. I don't trust them. So
Old as
when
fuck,
when
and
it comes to stuff,
they
what are you
old as
saying?
fuck, and they pausing mid speech because they forgot where they was.
Well, not even it's not honestly not even the older ones, which I think are more egregious in my opinion. It's even the young ones. If and I that's something I got to work with on too, because anyone who aspires to be a politician, my
Can't trust
flags
them.
go up. My flags go up. Why do you aspire to be a politician? Why did you when you filled out career path, you said politician. You went to school to be a lawyer so you could be a congressman. And you say this, and in my opinion, like again, I'm very nihilistic about this. And you say it's because you want to exact change. You want to bring about this blah blah blah, be it progressive or traditional conservative
To
stuff. It's like
monetize clout in a different way.
exactly. That's all. It's really all it is. You don't care. In my opinion, you generally don't care. What you care about is the status being a politician brings. And that's kind of a different point, I guess, if we get back on topic. And that's why I get what you're saying, like, bring about awareness that there should be water breaks. Sure, but I just want to know specifics. Like, are they not getting water breaks? They're making it seem like these workers are working out in the heat and they're just dying, like
That's
it's
where
slave
I
labor. Like, oh, it's
that's
like
where I
I
would chime
think
in.
that's
That's
going.
where I'll chime in. You get water breaks, right? But I've seen it. I can only speak for the place I work. There are certain jobs where it's not even certain, there's a lot of jobs where the manager or the person in charge leads with an ego rather than
Oh,
a
that
realism
fucking
for what's
sucks.
going on.
That's
So
fair.
like I can just tell you for me, and I first off, it couldn't be me, and Nick can talk to me like this. But first off, it'd be 100 degrees in the warehouse. No air conditioning. They got fans. The fans are just blowing hot
Hot
air
air.
everywhere. They're forced to wear these neon colored vests, which add to the heat,
And
and they're
don't they have to
forced
wear
to
those
wear
back supports
gloves.
too?
Huh?
And the back support, right?
They're not forced to, but you can if you want. That will make you sweat as well. So
Exactly.
recently we've been buying popsicles and getting water and getting Gatorades and stuff for people, right? But before that, you have to get water. If the manager sees you at the water machine, he's gonna complain. Even if you're just there for the split second, the manager we have, he's gonna complain because he's petty. He's gonna
I
complain.
No, I get you. I think there's two things. We're just like I said, like how big of an issue this is. What it comes down to me, there's two sides of this extreme. We have one extreme, which is management. When it comes to egos, because you're right. Guys have egos. They want things to get done. They want it done their way, not taking consideration that
They
there's
prioritize the work over the worker,
exactly. And you got the other extreme, which is sometimes people don't take the breaks you're supposed to take,
which is the same at my job too. To the manager's defense, people will turn a 15-minute break into 25. People will turn, you know what I'm saying,
or
to
they,
his
or
defense, like people
yeah, they
try and
take
get away
or
with stuff.
yeah, either they take too long of breaks, or they just don't take the breaks at all. It's like you're supposed to take these breaks because like it's like um whatever the word I'm trying to think of, like policy kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's why.
Yes.
That's why. I guess I just want to know specifics. Like, is this an actual issue or is it just an opportunity? Greg Abbott struck down this. Let me go to the Capitol. Let me protest. It's like, bro,
I
get
have
out of here. It's
I have one
disingenuous.
more
I don't know
question
if it's.
too.
I don't know, but I'm just. That's what it feels like.
I have one more question that y'all can answer. I'm not sure if y'all have the answer, but on what you just said, the law should be the floor. So the law should be as vague as possible, but be specific in the fact that they just get the water break. Like it should be in layman's terms. Humans deserve water breaks. That's it. As far as the context behind it, that should be based on the state or whatever the company's policy is. But the minimum, you shouldn't. I believe laws are there to protect the floor of certain issues, not to address. Like I get it, the extremes to stop extremes, but to create a basic floor for human interaction. So yeah, they deserve the water breaks, but to say, oh, they deserve 30-minute water breaks would be too much. To say, oh, every hour they get a 15-minute, that'd be too much. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the minimum, I do think they should have that. But my question
Or just provide
is
water.
this
You're mandated to provide water. If they don't have water on site while they're doing whatever, it's an issue. And I think that's good.
but that's it. But then my question is, what what decides the order of laws we address?
Popularity.
Because there are
Who,
certain laws
who
that are popular
whoever's
but
more
still never get
popular is
addressed.
exactly. No, the point is whoever's more popular, whoever has the most clout, for the lack of a better word, who's championing a certain cause. Then, in my opinion, that's how it works. And again, I come from a very nihilistic place when it comes to all this all this political stuff. There's a lot of things that need to be addressed, but it's not being addressed. Why? Because you have certain people in politics who are very popular who aren't championing those certain causes. Instead, they're championing causes that are guaranteed to get them more clout, who are guaranteed to maintain their job in office. That's my opinion.
So this was an easy cause.
Exactly. That's why I don't think it's as pressing of an issue as he's trying to make it out to be. And that's why the jokes came in. Oh, he was out in front of the Capitol for 8 hours with no food or water. Oh, like it it's just a weak attempt, and the attempt was very obvious just to bring attention to himself. I'm sure it this is an issue that needs to be addressed. The degree of the issue that in the like I generally don't know, but
Mm,
it's just an obvious stunt. And I think I don't want to speak for all Americans, so I'll speak for myself. I'm just getting so tired of all these stunts. Like they're just getting so played out. Like activism, protest, they don't mean anything anymore. In my opinion, they really don't. Like, does that mean the protest something? Does that mean anything? There's no more
95% of them are
power
actors.
behind it anymore.
95% of them are actors, and 95% of them are holding. And when I say actors, I mean they're sure they care about the issue, but when you put, I don't know, there's a fine line too because activism should be documented because it should be documented. Like you have
Safety
to
reasons
witness,
too.
yeah, but like the second you start documenting it, nowadays the activist becomes an actor.
Yeah,
Like they play to the camera. So I don't know. I feel like real activism actually gets done behind the scenes, but
yes,
then
I agree.
I can't say that none of it gets done in front of the camera either. But also to your point, like, yeah, I'm tired of obvious, obvious manipulation. But at the same time, I don't know how pressing this issue was to even for him. Like to your point, it's a stunt. Da 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 da. But if it's a real thing, it's a real thing, and I guess we got to respect it. Um, Damn, I really wish I felt otherwise because sure my mind would have came up with some jokes to roast his ass. But I think what they call him? Something Gandhi. I think that was pretty good. And I don't think could have
New
beat that.
Gandhi.
No, that was our
New
joke.
Gandhi.
We were coming up
Is
with a
he Indian?
title.
No, he's Hispanic.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've seen this guy because he's actually a politician here in the city. He's a little
Of course, he's an
but
Austin politician.
yeah, no, he's definitely like a Dem here in the city. But I've heard him speak in certain councils and stuff like that. And he is a pretty cheesy guy, but like I do actually kind of agree with his statement here for advocating for fucking water breaks, man. This is some fucking slavery shit. And like build the
But that's
pyramids, no
see, but that's
water.
my thing. But see, that's my thing. Are they really going without water breaks? Like, if workers are genuinely working out in this heat, not getting any water at all, you're right. It's an issue. But I'm struggling
I don't think
to
it's an issue like
believe
that.
that that's going on. That you got these workers being worked like slaves in 2023, no breaks at all, food, water, whatever.
Well, I
I
mean,
just find that
it's
hard to believe. This just seems like such like again, I come back to the point.
An
This just
extreme.
seems like such exact one extreme and two, and gotcha.
well, it's kind of a hard call, man, because you have so many construction companies across the state of Texas, which is massive. And so, yeah, maybe in the city, like, you're not gonna get away with that shit. But what about, Bumfuck County, like, where,
There's
you know,
less regulation, so they're
y-
probably guaranteed taking their water breaks, maybe more, probably even smoke breaks. In
well,
cities,
there's
there's
less
more regulation.
regulation, but that just means the boss gets to say, "Hey, man, get back to work." And
You know, in cities, there's 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 more regulation. I agree. Um, but it just depends on what the regulations are. Because like there are certain jobs that Yeah, you get your 15 minutes breaks, but if the person smokes cigarettes, they can take smoke breaks. Whereas I don't care what the fuck you was doing in the city. You out here working for my business, ain't no motherfucking smoke breaks. So I mean, it's all on. At the end of the day, it's all big business or small business, I guess. And I guess this would be more centered towards small businesses because big businesses wouldn't even operate that way because it'd be a liability. Like I said, our DC manager here, he's buying them Gatorades, waters, popsicles, ices. Like he's going over and beyond now because it's hot. It's hot. You don't want your workers dying because then you're a liability. So
And this is why I want to know more, because now if you're mandating this, and again, I don't know how you would honestly address this, but like you just got to prefacing, big companies are able to actually do this. Like you said, they're able to buy the Gatorades, the Capri Suns, the popsicles, like all this stuff. They're able to do that. Whereas small mom and pop fucking contractor jobs, can they actually afford to actually buy cases of Gatorade, cases of water, cases of Capri Suns? Like it's more financial burden. Like that's why I want to know more. Like maybe Abbott struck down these regulations because like it was killing small mom and pop contractors. Like they had to provide a certain amount of water. Can they actually afford that? I like that's why I just don't know the specifics. Again, I come back to it. Just seemed like a very obvious opportunity for, of course, an actor. I love the term you use, John. An actor to come out and act.
I don't
Well,
think the water
the
amount
article I
would have
was
been
reading in the background
specified.
while everybody's talking was that I mean everyone's scared because they want it to be they want there to be safeguards, like bare minimum. Almost everybody across the board wants a safeguard. And then the contractor or the lawmaker that started speaking said that um, the municipal laws that again conflict with this big one make it to where they can't customize the water breaks to the job site. And so because of that, like somehow the fucking state law intervenes and all of a sudden like you get this weird situation where it's just like maybe it is like a 2 day job, but then you have to give them the water break and then like it makes it weird. That's the only thing I can imagine where it's like it's a short job and the guy can just be like water break and walk away for like 30 minutes and you're just like, dude, we're only here for like 16 hours. Like, come on, man, like let's just do this. Um whereas like longer contracts and jobs and stuff like that, it makes more sense. But yeah, that's just it. They want the municipalities themselves to be able to create the customizable water system for the workers per job site. And yeah, in a utopia, that sounds awesome. But I also think there's probably some sleazy guys that are just like, dude, just get to work. Like, who cares? Did you bring your own water? Well, fuck, I didn't bring his water, or I brought my water bottle. You didn't bring yours.
Also, this is America too. Niggas say some shit like that, you're allowed to quit.
For what?
Or hell, you can probably sue
Oh,
them.
you don't
Like,
want me to drink water? Nigga, I'm out, bro. What are you
or
talking to me
I'm
about?
going to sue you. Like, you're right. Like, it's both sides of the coin.
I
Whereas
think this
America,
the
either I'm
I
a
think the
quit or I'm gonna sue
lawsuit,
you.
Gene, though the lawsuit is only better empowered by a state law though that provides a
Yeah, I
safeguard.
agree. I
I
agree
mean,
with
that's
that.
fair. I'm not saying. I'm not saying that something doesn't need to be done. My only point is, what exactly are they complaining about? The complaints I've been reading have been super vague. It's very what they're saying is very easy. Degrees, it's very hot. We need water breaks. They need water. It's like, what's the actual issue? What are you actually proposing that needs to be done? Regulations. Well, there's already regulations. There's issues with the regulations. Like it's just an actor coming out to act. That's my problem. Is this an actual issue? Are there actual workers being worked like slaves? I am very hard pressed to believe that. That's why I
There
think
was an
this
actual water issue. Michigan. Michigan
Flint,
was an
Michigan.
actual fucking
And we
water
have yet
issue.
to address it. Exactly. What are we doing? We're out here on the Capitol protesting about water when I'm pretty sure these guys aren't struggling for water. But we got Flint, Michigan, who has literal
Still
dirty
got
water.
uranium in their water.
Like, what are we
Dude,
doing? Like, that's my thing. Like, it's just. I was about to use a word that's banned on YouTube. It's just dumb.
what's
So
The
the other
R
thing that they
word.
were saying though in the article is
rid-
that they feel
Ridiculous.
that OSHA should be
oh,
the governing body that
yeah.
enforces this.
The ocean?
No, OSHA. OSHA should be
OSHA.
the governing body that enforces water breaks and sets the
Let me tell you
regulations.
something about
And they said
OSHA.
I was
that's
about to say,
Niggas
exactly
man,
that's
OSHA?
exactly what the next guy said.
Oh god.
The next line I read was from another construction worker guy, and it literally says, "Here's the thing about OSHA."
Shit. Bullshit. Okay, I've been here 5 years. OSHA has not pulled up once. I
I don't
mean,
think they ever
everybody
will,
on the
bro.
forklift. I mean, everybody on the floor. Oh, you know how to drive forklift? Shit, get in. And what? OSHA be on. OSHA is not even a. I don't even know what their uniform look like. Like, what would an OSHA person even look like?
I
And this
think
is
OSHA shows up after the fact. Every time
Yes.
I've ever seen OSHA, it's because the accident's already happened.
yes.
But
It's the
they're also
reactionary.
on all of the certifications
Yeah.
that you can possibly get in construction and warehousing. It would be OSHA's always on all of the certifications.
Certified. Yeah.
Them niggas on bullshit. Fuck what you heard. OSHA not gonna be able to what? I wish OSHA would regulate water. People be you ever seen uh the camera things where it follow the people who save pets, animal control? They go to abandoned houses and they find like dogs, dead dogs under mattresses and like stiff ass cats. They'd be finding human beings parched, dead of dehydration if OSHA was in charge. Niggas
See,
suck.
I just come back to the point. I guess this last point I'll share is just reiterating John's point said earlier, and I believe this more so maybe than John does. Is I just don't think government is the answer to anything. I just think it's weird that you got these low level Congress people like freaking Greg Czar who thinks I'm the guy who's gonna solve our water problem. There's a water problem. I got the answers. It's like that's not in my opinion, bro. Maybe I'm wrong in this. Like I said, I'm nihilistic.
Nigga
That's
said
not your
water.
job.
I drink that.
I just these people. It's like I said, these people just look for problems not because they want to solve them, because it helps advance their career. And I think that's the
So
reason
the
why
so
everything in our
then
country is going to shit.
but then the question has to be asked, did who's the governor or the mayor who canceled it?
Oh, Abbott.
Abbott.
Abbott. Why was this a priority for him?
I don't. That's the other thing,
Why
dude.
did
It
he
doesn't make
address
any
it?
sense. Like, I don't understand why he did it. Like, I've tried to look for like a nefarious thing, like, oh, you got some kind of weird fucking water lobbyist that's like trying to give you money for it and stuff like that. And like,
Dasani putting pot
yeah,
money in
like
his
Dasani's giving you money just so that you lift the ban so that you get flood the market with Dasani water bottlers or some shit like that. And I really don't get it. Like, I genuinely think it's just a weird situation, and that Abbott thinks he's right in the way the macro system works, and it's just in conflict with like human ideology of like, dude, no, give these people water. And it's such a weird knot. Like, I can't, untie it.
the same way. Like we're not sure if it's such a big issue. Why this guy's bringing it up? That's why I had to ask. On the other hand, like why did he choose to address it?
I made myself laugh because I had a pun in my head. So
You said what?
I was literally about to say it's been a hot topic for a while, and I just fucking laughed at that. But it has been, man. People have been talking about it here in Texas for like this whole summer, really. Once
Oh,
Abbott
really?
started
Yeah.
saying about it, yeah, it's been up for a while, and then I think he passed it. Like, I think it's official, or it's going to be.
So he actually spoke on it before passing it.
Yeah, because he was gonna, you had to wind up for it, and he had to
Oh,
prepare
so it is a
everybody.
big thing.
Yeah, here it's
Or
been.
it's not a big thing, but they're making it a big thing. Even Abbott himself is contributing to it being a bigger thing.
Well, he put out the announcement, and then social media did social media things and just fucking.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he has to announce it. But then, like Doc said, social media did its thing.
Yeah, but why do it if it's not a big deal?
Like I said, I don't know if I had to make an assumptions about why he did it. I'm going to make the assumption based on the fact that he's a conservative and a Republican, and they believe in less
I'm gonna
government.
save some water.
Generally speaking, less regulations, less government, and maybe the regulations were a little bit too oppressive when it came to mom and pops. Because, like again, goes to the point you said, big companies, depending on what the regulations were doing, what they actually did, can afford whatever the regulations are. Like, oh, we got to put these berries on. We can afford that, or we can do that. We have the capacity to do that. Whereas small pop shops, it was like that makes it hard to compete because now we have to add this extra expense, or now we got to add this extra insurance stuff, or it just maybe it was no oppressive policy on small pops. And technically, generally speaking, more right leaning politicians or just right leaning thinking people believe in less regulations, little government kind of stuff. So if this was one of those underlying policies that was a little bit too oppressive, then it was an easy win for him to check off like, hey, look at me, I'm getting rid of regulations. But then it's like, was this a regulation you had to get rid of? Like, I could say it on both sides. Like, it's just an opportunity to advance your career.
Well, I do wonder because I mean, again, it's supposed to be focused on helping the municipalities, and so it's like, is there like a minimum of like you have to provide 10 gallons of water per human or something like that, and then like
Those women
give
putting
it to
ice
them?
packs on.
What?
Those women putting ice packs on this man.
Yes, that's why this is funny because he
Take back
dramatized it
everything I
so
said.
much.
Take back everything I said.
Well,
That's why.
he's also
I
got
take it all back. I
a
take.
heart monitor on his finger. You see that?
Yeah, he's got a heart monitor. You see the heart monitor on his finger? That's why I brought this up. Like, again, I get that the point, but the problem is how dramatic he made this seem. Like, I get that it's 100
It
degrees in
seems like a
Texas.
movie made about a guy who did this in real life. It seems like he's behind the scenes on a movie made around a guy who actually did it. He has ice packs on his body and he's checking his heart rate.
Yeah,
Well,
man,
my boy, that means you weren't healthy to begin with. You need to drink some
Boy, if
water.
you don't get
Like what? Then he had the nerve to wear a tie.
well, it does make me wonder,
8 hours, Ethan. It was only 8 hours.
like where he was. Like, was he like sitting on the steps in front of the sun, or was he like in the shade, like under a
There's going to
tree,
be a
or like
Lifetime movies
in an
biopic on
area?
this.
That's why I guess I was pushing back so much about, yeah, he was out in the sun, he was trying to maybe his idea was, I'm gonna represent the 8 hour work week guys have to go through, but it's like, bro, you were probably one, in the fucking shade, and two, you weren't even working, you were probably standing or sitting. How hard is it to go 8 hours without food or water? Not hard at all.
I
I used to
agree to
go
point out the
days without eating or
stupidity.
drinking because of wrestling back in the day.
I think it's cool to point out the stupidity behind these type of things, or the tackiness or corniness, but still we have to address it. I just hate when we stop before the point. Like his
That's fair.
stupidness or
That's fair.
whatever, da, 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 but we still have to make it to the point. But then the point is the point a big deal, to be honest with you. Like I don't hear about people running out of water, like
Or
unless it's a
dying of
water
dehydration while
problem.
they're working.
Yeah.
Like, I just,
Well, the article I was reading says that Texas has the highest amount of deaths in
I
construction
mean, it's
sites
the hottest.
per.
that, I mean, that makes sense. It's Texas. It makes sense. I guess my question is, have we like, has it spiked? Has it become more of an issue? Like,
What's
of
the
course we're
age
gonna be,
range?
of course we're going to be the highest because Texas is known. Like, we're known as being like a hot state. So of course we're gonna have the highest. My rebuttal is, has it become more prevalent? Have we seen a spike? Has it
So
become a problem?
within the past 10 years, this article says that 42 workers have died in the state of Texas from environmental heat exposure, which is the highest in the nation.
It's
42 in
Texas.
10 years?
Yeah.
Do you want me to say it, Gene?
Yes, please say it.
Do you want me to say it, Gene? That's not that bad.
It's Texas. Like,
I'm just saying that's
oh,
42 miles too many.
I know it's a little heartless, but I mean, come on. In 10 years, 42. Like, is this even an issue?
You tell y'all like Cameron told us, man, niggas die every day, B. Apparently not from heat dehydration because 42 in 10 years, what is that? 4 a year? 4.0 something a year?
And then another point John asked, how
That's
old are those people that died? They were probably old.
that's one a season.
Like, again, like, it's just an opportunity. And politicians, which are low key actors, as John said, are going to do what? They're going to act.
But he trying to save 42 lives. That's commendable.
Well, it does say
Don't
that
do that. Don't do
this
that.
is
Don't do
directly
that.
from heat, and then the article says that doesn't necessarily reflect the magnitude because heat-related deaths are often recorded in different primary causes of injury. which does make sense. Like if you're heat exposed and then you cramp and you fall through.
He really dumb. He's supposed to be boycotting the sun. He's supposed to dress up like the moon for 8 hours. That's what he's supposed to do. He really mad at the sun. I don't know. What's the next topic, bro?
Man, I just low key because of the Texans, it makes the Texans look soft. That's why Austin annoys the hell out of me sometimes, bro. They do some soft things, and this is one of the softest things we've done in a while.
Sit in the heat.
Oh look, I'm struggling for being in the sun for 8 hours, bro. You're Texan, and also like you're Mexican, bro. You're supposed to be able to handle the heat. This is what you do.
That's
Oh.
Tex-Mex.
You said what?
So that's
That's
fucked up, bro.
Tex-Mex.
Bro, that's what I do, man. I'm Hispanic. I'm only half, and I can handle the heat better than his full blood ass.
But nah, Gene, you got two superior working races in your body.
This guy.
If you want to be real here, you Irish and Mexican. Them two get down. I mean, we talking about harvesting potatoes
This
and
guy.
Yeah, bro. You can starve and work in the heat, man. You're good.
facts, and you make a hell of a UFC fighter.
That's why I did wrestling. All right.
I do actually wonder how this affects though, like, because this is a whole other fucking yarn ball. Like, it affects illegal immigrants though, because like technically they don't have to get water breaks after that. Does that make any sense?
No.
Like you,
Like they don't have
Because
rights. That's trying to allude to like they don't have rights because they're illegals.
essentially, yeah,
no, like the employer could get away with not.
yeah, because he's already paying them under the table, and then so like,
You know what?
I think
Honestly,
it's
Doc, that is a perfect segue to our next topic. So let me segue into our next topic, and we can actually add that into this.
oh yeah,
Yeah. So a look at the Texas border where buoys and razor wire barriers threaten migrant lives.
all right, next week we talking about New York then. All this Texas shit y'all
Ah.
got going on.
well,
You
I
said
mean,
Texas
yeah,
what?
like
Well, let me segue into it so that it's segued. Now let's do your point now because it
Alright,
ties
go.
into it. I think. No, I mean I'll say you go like because
Oh,
obviously
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a little
that
bit
way-
different, but it can go.
yeah, that
Yeah.
way we don't fully segue and then have to whiplash back into
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
I just think it's more of a pondering like idea or thought more so than like an opinion I have, because it's like illegal immigrants can be, they're unfortunately at the mercy of whoever's willing to care for them. You know what I mean? Like whoever's willing to give them money and stuff like that, because they're getting paid under the table. So it's not like they can just say like, "Hey, man, by law, whatever," and stuff like. And I don't know if they benefit from the water law or if they like it's really comes down to the kindness of the employee to give them water and stuff like that, because they kind of can't chime up for it. But if they're required to it, if anybody ever came to the site, then they would have to have water for them, um, instead of just kind of like using them and grinding them into the ground. Which
It's counterproductive. It's counterproductive for a business owner or any type of business person to not give their employees water because people people aren't as it's not easy to replace work experience. So unless you're just doing a constant turnout every day, which where are you getting that mass of where are you getting those bodies from? Like if you're able to just turn over every day, sure, but where are you getting those bodies from versus like at least the bare minimum giving them water. Like you need them to be at least be productive.
And I think if
So I
that was
think
also an issue, the numbers that you just said, Doc, would be higher. Like unless they're hiding illegal immigrant deaths, like
I mean,
I don't.
do they count towards a consensus though?
That's some places they do, some places they don't. I know in Texas they probably don't, and in
when
California
they
I
have
think
to because they're not dying at home and the
like
bodies being
But
hidden.
it's
They
not
No,
an
they have
employee
to
well,
who
it's
go to
it's not an employee who died.
well no, it
no,
just
but
comes.
the person still has to be reported dead by the hospital.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's where the things get weird though, because if like they're reporting employees, then
Yeah, because you got to keep in mind, like, we're assuming a lot of nefarious intent. Like, you really think that people are taking illegal immigrants and working them to the bones, like damn near slaves, and then they suddenly disappear when they die? Like that's not going on. Are some illegal immigrants being taken advantage of? Sure. Like, I'm not going to say they're not. Like, are there some people who like free labor probably pay them? What's probably going on with when it comes to illegal immigrants and working is
Underpaid.
exactly, they're just getting underpaid. I don't think they're having terrible working conditions. I just think they're probably getting the shit in when it comes to wages. That's probably
They,
it. They are
they probably do have bad working conditions comparatively
comparatively,
to,
sure.
yeah, but not. I don't think it's enough to make the input. I don't think it's enough to be unproductive. That's where I draw my line. Because it just plain like even if you do it once, you wouldn't repeat it because it's literally not good for your unless your
They're not good
business
for
is
business.
slavery.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
it's just not good for your business to treat somebody that bad.
I don't know. It's just a ponderance, man. It's just something
Fair. It's fair.
because the safeguard. I do kind of wonder if like they're able to actually call on the safeguard since they're technically not citizens to force their employer to give them water. But it's just an all around a tough situation if you were an
Tough
immigrant
situation
working
all
to them.
around.
I think this is more applicable to jail if you want to force a water standard or something like that. I think it's more applicable to places where you can really be lost. Like you have to you have to understand if you're working a job that's not giving you water and you can't leave, you're a slave. So if you can leave, you can go to a job that'll give you water. You don't have to work that job. So like to me, that choice of yours, water is such a basic necessity that that choice of yours, nobody's going to a job because oh, it's better than I was in Mexico, but this job doesn't give me no water. The bare minimum you need is water. Nobody's gonna keep working at a job where they're not getting water, illegal, not illegal, whatever.
That
Or
is
something else.
interesting. Because I mean, even then, like you can fight against the employer and just be like, "I'm bringing my own fucking water, man. Like, I'm just
I'm
gonna
just gonna
carry
get
it."
my own water.
Yeah, and like you can still kind of keep your job and just have like a I don't know a water bottle like holster or something. But
Now
in a
you mad I got water bottle on me. Now you're just an evil person. That's
yeah,
counterproductive. Like
but it does make me
you're just
wonder
in
if like
business of
for
evil.
like what you said with like prisons, like if they are forced to get water breaks, and if that state law would actually force the prison to then give them water breaks. So at that point, the prison system, like you're just you're gone, dude. You're you're in the
Mhm,
system, man. You're just a number in
mhm.
there. And if they don't have to, if they don't have it by law, which is some fucking crazy ass shit. That sounds like that movie Life, where they're just there,
Y'all
like
saw the one in Georgia where this inmate got who died in his cell and they saw the you saw the pictures of the cell
mm-mm.
the inside. It was like maggots everywhere. It was like the cell was so fucking disgusting. Like so yeah, in those types of places, there needs to be a minimum thing. And I can understand where like you could be in the hole for months. You know what I'm saying? Family can't talk to you. You have no access to guests. Like months. Who knows how you're getting treated for months? That's too much of a gray area to not have a law. But making it safer for illegal immigrants to come, I don't know about that one. Is that
Yeah.
what that technically is?
Well, let's get into it. Before we get into it, let's address Ethan's comments because he left a few of them. So we got what up, fellas, coming at you from sunny Florida now. My man finally moved to
Oh yeah,
Florida.
Ethan.
Yeah, he's
I'm
out there.
alive. So he made it past Georgia. He made it through Georgia and he didn't take my life. We thank you and appreciate you, Ethan.
He's like, I just need
Bruh.
to drop off my things. I'm coming back.
He like, I didn't forget. I was just scoping out the place. Bruh, you are straight darkness. Laugh out loud. You need a halo light because you are in shadow mode.
Yeah, I know my light died. My light died, so I gave up, Ethan. I appreciate you though. You know how it is, my
And
brother.
then, how long have you been on Hunter Strike? 8 hours. Wait, 8 hours. Seriously, folks are straight soft if they can't go 8 hours in the sun without food. That's what I said. My man looks Mexican. Come on, son. You gonna tell me he's Mexican and take some heat or go home or go more than 8 hours without food? You know the Mexicans in Mexico are voting to revoke his Mexican card. My man's not Mexican. My man is American. That's the difference. Americans are soft
Oh,
nowadays.
Ethan, don't do me like that. You said you got to scope the place out first. Jesus Christ.
Gotta scope the place out. That's funny. All right, let me get to this article now. Finally, get into this topic. A federal judge will decide whether large water buoys placed by Texas as floating barriers to prevent migrants from crossing the Rio Grande can stay following a federal lawsuit against the state. The Biden administration sued the state July 24th for placing 4-foot wide orange buoys in the middle of the river between Eagle Pass, Texas, and Piedras Negras, Mexico. I think I said that right. The government says they violate federal law. The buoys are connected to form a barricade about 1,000 feet long. They are fastened to the river bottom and have nets below water to prevent people from swimming beneath them. The buoys themselves rotate so that people can't climb over them. The legal dispute includes accusations of Texas attempting to usurp federal control of national borders. Critics also say the buoys will make dangerous river crossings even more unsafe. The devices are installed in what are called high traffic areas, sections where people are likely to attempt to cross the river. Here is where they're located and what they do. The buoys are part of Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star, a controversial border protection program that started in March of 2021. The state has also put up miles of razor wire, braided steel wire with sharp metal pieces attached along the state banks of the Rio Grande that has resulted in adults and children being severely cut during river crossings. Um,
They know what
the tech
the deterrent is.
Texas has also placed shipping containers along the river at Eagles Pass in El Paso. Abbott described the containers as a steel wall along the southern border. Total cost for Operation Lone Star estimated at about $4 billion. The price for the first segment of the buoy barriers at Eagle Pass expected to cost $1 million, USA Today reported. The federal law against Texas says that state violated the Rivers and Harbors Act by obstructing the rivers with the buoys. It says Texas was not authorized by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to install the buoys as required by law. The floating barriers poses threats to navigation and public safety and present humanitarian concerns, the Justice Department said. That's fucking wild. Said in a statement. The suit was filed in U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas. All right. So, easy question first. How do you guys feel about this buoys? Do you think Greg Abbott is not to say out of bounds, but like he's doing this to address the immigrant crisis we're having at the southern border? Do you think this is an appropriate way for Greg Abbott to approach this, or do you think the Biden administration is justified in trying to get him to not to revoke this? Like, nah, you're going too far. Like, is
I
this too
think
far?
it's an extreme response to an extreme situation. I think that the extreme response caused the Biden administration to sue them, but in suing them, they're now forced to have a conversation. So they now have to actually discuss this. So it
This is,
was
I
a
think, a
means to an
win-win.
end, in my opinion. Um, I also think a deterrent is a deterrent for a reason. It's not asking you to climb the barbed wired fence or try to swim through razors. It's saying, hey, when you see these razors,
Go
turn
away.
around, go the other way. I do think everybody's doing their job. I just think some people shouldn't have jobs.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I don't trust these people in office. They don't know what they're doing. They're incompetent.
Like I don't think like if bodies start lining up along the shore because of these things, then I think you have a problem.
I think they might though. It kind of depends on like the determination of the people, um, which is the scary part. Like because you have to actually test it, and so I definitely do think there will be a few. Um,
I think
but
there
if
have
it's
already been some deaths because of this. Like, obviously, people
yeah,
trapped, and like I think it has led to some deaths.
yeah, it's just kind of like if they're gonna keep coming, or if they're the people are just gonna be like, oh shit, okay, well,
But
yeah, we
that's the
can't do
risk
that.
they're taking. Like, is that Greg Abbott's fault or anything? Like, if people are willing to take on the risk of trying to cross this thing, like maybe this is from a heartless place, and I got to be better as a Christian man. But like, bro, that's your own damn fault. Like, what are you doing? Because to be like, I understand why Greg Abbott's doing this. Like Johnson, is this an extreme reaction to an extreme situation? And let's be honest, like it's kind of wild that Biden is suing Texas because of this when it's like Biden's fault that we have this problem in the first place. My man basically opened the border during his whole campaign. He was like, "Come." Guess what? People fucking came. Now we got an issue where we got the highest, the record number of immigrants ever coming to Texas, to the point
Y'all
where
did take taxes from Mexico.
to the
I'm just playing.
this guy.
I'm just playing.
Hey, remember the Alamo? We took that shit fair and
Fair and
square.
square. No, but Miss Chrissy made a point. She said, is this not the same thing as putting up a fence around your house?"
No, it's not. And the reason why it's not, technically speaking, no, it's not. And the only reason why it's technically speaking not is because the river is supposed to be, what's the
Federal?
word? No, no, not federal. It's shared between Mexico and America. So you have America, specifically Texas, erecting a wall on shared ground without first asking their neighbor Mexico, "Hey, is it cool we do this? You know, a joint thing." They're just
Oh,
that's why technically no. If we put
wait.
up,
So it's like putting up a
So
barricade
the
that you own
whole
in the middle of the street.
yeah,
the
exactly.
agreement the agreement is that all of the water belongs to Mexico and America, not that
It's neutral
there's
territory.
a border, like
Yeah,
it's a shared territory, all of it up until the shore of
pretty
Texas.
much. I think that's pretty much how it works. Yeah,
So then they're wrong. He's
technically
wrong.
speaking. Yeah,
But
technically speaking. Yeah,
he did something illegal.
Yeah, that's
that's
why
yeah.
Mexico is basically telling Biden to do
Do
something.
something. Yeah, technically speaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't blame. I generally don't blame Abbott. I'm having troubles being like Abbott's wrong in the situation. Technically speaking, yes, he's wrong, but I don't think he's wrong because Mexico's not doing shit to deter immigrants from coming to America, and Biden's not doing shit to deter them. So guess what? Abbott has to secure his state as a governor. He has to secure his state. So
I do
I don't blame him.
I do
And
think a
then
lot
y'all
of
what?
that falls on Biden though, because Mexico's not doing shit because Mexico volunteered to become a safe house country. But the U.S. was supposed to help with resources, and so we have.
Should have
I
never
feel
done
like
that
at
in the
that
first
point, like we
place.
got to help them out. So like, for them to, because otherwise Mexico just has to do its own thing for its borders, but then like the U.S. is like, no, don't do that, and Mexico's like, all right, well, then we'll bring them in, but you got to help us with them, and I don't think we're holding up our part of the deal.
I don't think any side's holding up their part of the deal. They're just like I don't know, bro. I just think the whole
Well,
situation is very
that's why I'm
dumb.
saying though, like, because if the Americans aren't holding up our part of the deal, well, then what's to stop Mexico from just being like, well, then fuck, man, go
Fair,
walk up to the wall there, and you tell them, because we're not
yeah,
getting any help to help you, and so
yeah.
they need to see it. And it's really just a issue with the southern country because it's not Mexicans that like there are still, but they're the lowest percentage of like the Latin people that are crossing the rivers. It's mostly people from the
Like
southern countries of
Honduras or
Honduras,
yeah,
Venezuela, and stuff like that.
yeah.
Guatemala, like those are the people that are just like we need to freaking
But
to
another
make it over there.
misconception too that I really don't like people hearing is they're asylum seekers. What are they fleeing? Like, what are they seeking asylum from? Like, where exactly are they fleeing? There's not any like
Well,
not to go
the
off
thing
on.
that the thing they're fleeing is that
Cartels?
well no, there is crime. There's really high crime rate, but it's because of uh the economy is just so terrible.
Is
The
that our
economy
problem?
No, but that's what like you can escape like for asylum to seek that. Like you can ask another country for help for that. That's not illegal.
I guess what determines
I know it's not
what's
illegal, but I
necessary
just
for
think the
asylum?
bar for asylum seeker seeking is extremely low. My economy sucks. I want to go to a better economy that is America. Are you serious?
I mean,
That
yeah, you
like
can definitely go in and just be put an application. Just be like, dude, like I'll work as hard as I
I
can to get
wish
there.
and
Like,
I
bro.
wish that's what they were doing, and I wish that's what they were doing. The mass majority of people aren't putting in applications. The mass majority of people are just straight up jumping the buoys.
I
Have
think
any of
that's
y'all
a
seen
more
the anime
complicated
Kingdom?
situation than what you see though, because like when you put an application, you go into a concentration camp. And then you have other people that are just like, fuck that. I'm not gonna sit there and just wait and see. I'm gonna go fucking to the country myself and just fucking figure it out.
Have y'all seen the anime Kingdom?
That's why I'm okay with the buoys, because no, we can't allow that. Go for it, John. Animal Kingdom.
No, have y'all seen the anime called Kingdom?
Yeah, I've
The one
watched
I
it.
forced you to watch, Gene?
Yeah.
They just dropped they dropped season 4 already, but season 5 is coming out in January, so catch up. But this just reminds me of like a rogue Japanese general like in the military doing his own thing. Like Abbott, the way he knew what he was doing was illegal. He's literally going against the US government.
I'm
That's
okay
like
with it.
where does your influence start and where does it begin?
And the Greg Abbott's rebuttal to the lawsuit was he has a right to defend Texas borders, to defend Texas, which he's right, he does.
Oh, okay. You know what? His response sucked, so he's definitely wrong. Because that response right there is
I'm
what you
obviously
but that
paraphrasing it here,
response is
but
what you say to a police officer when you get pulled over and you really don't know the law. Or you know you know you broke the law, but you got some smart ass answer that you can say, but you're gonna get arrested, you're gonna have to tell it to a judge. That's what I'm saying. He didn't say anything deep enough to get out of the situation.
well,
The
he might
same
have been.
shit he just
I was
said, you're gonna have to
paraphrasing.
tell a judge, meaning you're getting arrested, meaning you're wrong, meaning you're lost. So I don't know how they go about this.
Technically, yeah, because it is state federal and they do share the water. So technically speaking, yes, he is wrong technically, but
Yeah,
I
it's
don't think he is
I mean,
because
that's the
it's
only way that matters. That's the
it's
only way that
ironically
matters. Because it's a government. We can't when we start operating off of not the technicalities, then we're no longer a government. We're just pure corrupt. You're purely
we're
corrupt.
we're kind of there already. Like I said, I admit I come from a very nihilistic place. I do generally think our entire political system and government, everything is corrupt. I don't think we have one good person in office.
Yeah, it is corrupt, but there are things even within a corruption, there are things on paper like you just can't go and shoot somebody. Murder is murder. You know what I'm saying? Like there's basic
Sure,
principles of whatever. So like they have to still play the rules of their game or whatever the fuck they're playing.
but they
I
don't.
do
But
think it is
my point
corrupt
is they
as
don't.
well. But his type of movement, again, to back to an anime, is so abrasive that it almost
Sure,
uniformly would be dealt with
sure.
by whatever party or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just
It's
so
an
anti.
obvious back talk.
Yeah, because
well, I
that
was gonna
person
say, I
now
was like,
deems himself bigger than the system.
it's like what is it? What do they call it? Fuck, I can't remember now.
Insubordination. I don't
No,
think
no, no,
that's the
no,
word
no. I
either.
was thinking of a slang. It's cowboy shit. He just fucking did some cowboy shit and just fucking was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it myself. Fuck it. I don't care what anybody else thinks about
Like
this.
if he
I'm
refuses to
okay
take this
with it.
shit down, they could charge him for treason.
Maybe. I
If
think
he
Yeah,
that
re- if,
might be a leap. I have to look at the specifics of that. I can see why you would say that, but I think that might be a leap.
I mean, he's definitely.
man,
I wonder
this
like what the
sucks.
sue would be though. Like the lawsuit. He had to. I don't know if he calculated and was just like, man, they can come and slap me on the wrist. Fuck it, do it.
Does the federal government send people in to dismantle it?
I don't know. I don't know if they can.
Yeah, then you got to deal with
Texas.
The
You
law.
just got to
Yeah,
deal with Texas.
yeah. You are right. It's very. What did they?
This is
I read a paper that
a
called it like
lot could happen.
neo feudalism, where like our fucking shogun is just going off on his own and doing his own shit,
Correct.
and the emperor's like, "Yo, what the fuck?" My honest opinion of it, and like, because I've spoken to my mother who deals with a lot of like the people that come over and stuff like that, and she says it's taxing on Texas in general, like on the economy, on the small towns that they sometimes linger in and stuff like that. Because sometimes they get into the first town and they don't ever leave that first town, and you like double a small town's population overnight. And there's like a massive influx of people, and so it is warranted, but it's just so fucking like murky that it because you obviously want to help these people, but at the same time, you also need to keep our heads above water and stuff like that,
You know
so
what
we
it
can be able
is?
to help them out. But the
I
thing I
want you
want to
to
say that
catch them at the border with a bubble machine. They want you to blow bubbles and catch each immigrant and gently take them back to Mexico. If there was a system that caught them in little bubbles and magically took them back to Mexico, nobody would have a fucking problem.
Yeah, but it's not that easy, man. And so people are gonna fight back. But the
Really,
thing that I'm actually kind of wondering about, it might be too simple because it's so small of a stretch, is that does it affect the environment of that area like in any way?
that's fair. That's fair.
Because I mean, if you have like local fauna or local creatures and stuff like that rely on the river and you're fighting with them, like even making dams and stuff like that sometimes wipes out populations
Yeah,
of
that's
animals that
true.
are in the area.
That's
So I
true.
do kind of wonder if
That's
that
true.
affects them.
That's valid.
I
That's very
still, I
valid.
mean, I think he should be able to do what he wants to do off the border of Texas, but seeing that it's a national thing, federal thing, he's technically in the wrong, which just means plain and bold he's in the wrong. So
I honestly
I just
think
want to
if
see
it
if
wasn't
he
shared with Mexico, I wouldn't have like I think it would be more
same
of an I don't care. But the fact that Mexico is involved, it's like we have to be considerate of our neighbors. But if
same.
Mexico wasn't involved at all, I could care less. Dude, spit on the ground in front of the Biden administration and the federal government, dude.
How
Screw them.
Honestly, that's probably why no other governor before, because they knew it was international water and they were just like, yeah, we're not even just fucking. That's kind of worms. We're not gonna do that.
so what? But how long and what ways could he push back?
You see what Ethan said? I wonder if the American fish have this issue with the Mexican fish.
Yeah. Now they get up to the net and they look at each other and they're, come over, bitch.
I
Fuck
dare
you.
you.
Actually, you know
Fuck
what's
you.
funny? You know what's funny? Those fish are the only thing between the two countries that have both nationalities.
That's true.
Yeah, right.
Right?
That was fucking funny.
That's crazy. No, but yeah, I just wonder how far his influence could go as far as not taking it down.
So one of the headlines I saw when this first happened was that like Biden was gonna send soldiers or something like
That's
that. It
what
might
I'm
have been
saying.
fucking
That's
it
what
might
I'm
have been
saying.
sensationalism, but yeah, that was like one of the things because Mexico was pissed, and I was like, would we go to war over something like this? Because technically, that is some fuckery with the international borders.
That is true. It kind of is. That's why it's a little
What if
bit
Mexico
murky.
was like, hey, we just gonna put more people in the water, eh?
Yeah,
Mexico, why'd you go A with that one? That's Canadian, bro. It's
wrong side,
way.
bro. It's the
Yeah,
south
wrong side.
Thinking of the north side.
That was the north, my bad.
change,
Wait,
change the A to the way.
it's
Yeah,
way? Okay,
Yeah,
my
it's
way.
bad,
way.
way.
It's way.
My bad, way.
Yeah, there you
Goddamn.
go.
Fucking Canucks. Hey, I gotta go soon.
All right. Hey, last point y'all want to bring up? Another thing I want to say, I guess, about this is again, I've been saying is I don't care. I'm completely okay with this. I think Feather's got to be, what's the word, ruffled because we've been too complacent. And I'm hopefully with this ruffling, people in their true intention when it comes to politics get exposed. And I think we get rid of them and we get start all over. I know that's a little bit weird, but I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this feather and this ruffling of feathers. I'm completely okay with this.
I'm
I'm
okay
honestly
with it
curious about
too,
it.
but then I have to be okay with other shit that I'm kind of not okay with it. So I don't know. The balancing off of this is like, what if a liberal person does something anti of this?
They already are. That's why I think we. That's why I think we. This Abbott was a
This is
reaction
the
to.
equivalent of a Texas, another Texas, a mayor in Texas going to the border and creating a yellow brick road.
They already. I mean, technically speaking, that's why I'm saying like this was a reaction to that. The yellow brick road has already been laid. It's a little murky because it's been, it's been laid a long time already. But Abbott was reacting like, I'm tired of this yellow brick road. I'm gonna put some buoys across this yellow brick road. And now like you made the point, and I believe it more and more. It's the pendulum. For the long time, the pendulum was on open borders. Come doesn't matter anyway if you're fleeing an actual corrupt country or just I want better outcomes for my way of life. Like screw it, come, we want you. all the way now we're over here where it's like, nah, we're putting up buoys, we're putting up barbed wire, we're putting up a wall, we're getting drones, Gatling guns, like you ain't coming. And now we're over here. It seems like eventually it's gonna probably go back to the yellow brick road. Instead of yellow, we'll make it pink. We'll make it rainbow. Come on in. Like it's dumb. Like we're not a serious country anymore, in my opinion. Like if at this point, if we're not gonna try to be, I don't know a better word besides picky, I guess, with who we let into our country, we're not serious. And I think this is us trying to be serious. And you're maybe right, John. It's an extreme reaction, but I'm sorry, we got to be picky, and we're not picky. All right. Any last response? If not, I think that's enough fake deep thinking. Thank y'all for.
I don't have anything to say, but I was just trying to gauge how you would actually gauge what you're talking about doing. How would you apply that?
I mean,
We can discuss that.
well, it's just like we just need to not have open borders. Like we need, like again, I was a Trump supporter, so therefore I was completely 100% on board with the wall. Like I just think we need to secure our borders. Having the borders open to let anyone come through is obviously a bad idea. Would you, maybe this is a bad example, but I think it's an apt example, is would you leave your front door unlocked to let anyone come inside your house whenever they felt like it? No, you obviously wouldn't. You need to have these security locks in place to keep people safe, to keep your family safe, to keep your citizens safe. Right now,
So if we
we
were
have an
attacked by
open
another
door.
country, if we were attacked by another country, they'd probably come through Mexico.
Well, there's always been
Why?
that fear that like, you know, terrorists would
Terrorists.
come through there because I think it's harder for them to come through Canada because Canada's got like a more sophisticated systems of detecting them and stuff like that.
Yeah, they might
And
accidentally curse and go to jail.
yeah, and then I honestly do think Canada's a little bit more stricter than we are as well, so it's harder for them to get through there.
Canada is diet version America.
We also got to factor in that Canada doesn't have a cartel problem like Mexico does.
Yeah, there's
Like
too
the
much chaos in
cartel, yeah,
Mexico. That's easy.
they make so much money off of this. That's another reason why we have to secure it,
The Mounties of
because
the cartel over there.
yeah, exactly. Like they don't have that up in Canada, so that's why it's harder, because they don't have that issue. There's not a money generating machine in the north of the border like there's the south of the border. And
Zero
because we don't
calorie
secure the
America.
border, that business is there. Like that's where that's my, again, I'm repeating myself too much, so I'm just gonna shut up.
Well,
Canada is
I think
so
the difficulty comes in when you're like you said, being picky of who can come in and who can come out, but it's just like it makes sense that like doctors and like people of like higher stature from European countries and stuff can fly in and they can work here and stuff like that, and then they can leave. It's really easy actually for them to come in and out, but it's harder for lower class or even maybe just like no class people because they're leaving a country that's completely falling apart to come in than it would be for them because it's expected that they're not going to stay as far as like the Europeans are flying in and out because they're just like, oh yeah, they're just going to come here, they're going to 2 years and they're going to go back or whatever. But it's expected that these people are going to live here at this point in time.
And
But
that's
to
for
me that
me,
works when you have stable classes, but like
we
how do
don't.
you how do you differentiate what's more important?
that's what
Like
I'm kind of trying to figure out because it's just, in America, nobody wants to do the dirty work. Essentially, nobody wants to be a construction worker. Nobody wants to be like a warehouse worker. Nobody wants to be a farmer or like worker and stuff like that. And so you have these people en masse who are coming to do it. They probably don't want to do it, um, or maybe some do. And it's the hard part because they're the ones that are most willing to do it. Like most Americans aren't gonna fucking do that. It's almost like you have to make the choice to willingly do that in America. And I think that's tough because America wants to keep building, wants to keep growing, and keep doing all this stuff, but they're the ones that are ultimately going to do it.
I agree with everything you said. Americas are elitists. We're 100% elitist. We don't want to do something that we don't believe will bring us status. But I also don't think the answer is let's open up the borders and bring anyone we want in the country to do that job. And I think that's another reason why that America is going to shit. And a lot of people aren't happy with the way America, especially specifically the economy is going, is because we're outsourcing everything and we're not doing anything to make actual Americans be productive and livable. Is the word I'm thinking of. Maybe like we're
Businesses
complete.
haven't been incentivized to do such in America.
Exactly. We're
But
just
then
in.
also, why? Because capitalism. Eventually, part of
It ain't
capitalism is
capitalism, bro. It's corrupt crony capitalism, damn near communism, bro.
no. Okay, I was the first one to say that now, but
I'm a You
is,
convinced me, bro. You got me.
it,
I'm on
it,
the same train you are.
but I'm saying even in real capitalism, there can't be like real. There can't be limiters or there can't be real things in it. So part of it would always end up being outsourcing. Like, and even in a real capitalist society, you end up outsourcing because it would just end up being cheaper.
That's ultimately what happens at the top. Like it just is
Yeah,
so the money and the metrics are all that matter. And at a certain point, oh, why do I even have to pay for these people that want such a high cost of living just because I'm loyal to them because I was born here? What? I can make more money by paying those people that are working twice as hard or
because
three times as hard.
it's only because capitalism is supposed to be opportunistic, and so any opportunity that arises to cut costs and increase
It's
profit would be
also
chased.
supposed to be competitive, but there is no competition in America when it comes to corporations anymore.
Well, that's kind of where I start to figure out post capital, where it's just like we've grinded to a point where things are fucking gigantic. Like they're planetary, corporations.
They're damn
And
near governments themselves.
and yeah, exactly. And so it's just like, whoa. And so I do think that's where the backlash, like the pendulum swinging for communism is there. Because at that point, the people have to be what matter to some extent, just to have moral ethics. And I genuinely think that's where a lot of that stuff is going to, especially I think most people stop at socialism. I don't think a lot of people truly want communism in the United States. But I definitely do think it's from the
I
fact
think
that
it's
like
absolutely
you
right
have a
too.
corporation that sometimes operates as its own nation. And like that thing it's max level capitalist. It's hit level 100 and at that point what does it do?
Fair. I agree. That's a problem that we need to address. And I think the reason why we haven't been able to address it is because government bailouts. Anyway, let's read these comments. Let's close out. So where did we leave off? Good point, Miss Chrissy. So when I was a kid, I used to try and touch the hot stove, and my parents kept telling me to not do it. Eventually, my parents just let me do it, and I learned to not do something that stupid. Mexico and the United States each have a right to one half of the Rio Grande main channel flow. Yep. When the federal government does not do its job to protect the sovereignty of a state, that state has the right to protect itself. I completely agree, and I think that's actually true
Like
when it comes
one
to state
half
law.
meaning like the portion closer to Texas is actually
No,
all
I don't think that's
American.
no. I don't think that. I think meaning one half is and we both have a claim to it. It's not split because it's kind of hard to split a river. I think they just both have claim to the river. That's why there's an issue. And even if they did split the river, look where the buoys are. They're literally in the middle of it. So technically, like I said, I
Yeah,
don't.
I feel like if that was the law, and make when their decision was going through the process would have been like, all right, let's pull it back like just a little bit. That's on our
Yeah,
side. All right, there we go.
yeah, right.
That's true.
And as Americans, we
That's
do
true.
some shit like grimy shit like that. Like
Very true.
you can't complain now. It's
Yeah,
behind the
yeah,
line.
yeah.
I wonder if American fish have the issue with Mexican fish. That was so funny. We want people to come to the US. We just don't want them to come here illegally and be even more of a burden on our social safety nets that are stretched thin for actual citizens. 100%. Uh, when you get out of cities, Americans work those jobs that we supposedly don't want to do. That's very true, but the
That's
problem is
true.
but the problem though is like that is true, but we have to also remember that the majority of our populations are in cities. So meaning less like if we I don't know the exact stats, but just to get my point across, 80% of the populations are in cities and those people tend not to want to do blue collar workers because guess what? They'd rather be in tech or they'd rather be a doctor or a lawyer, just big name jobs because they're in a city. It's very status
Also,
oriented. But if you go
and
outside of the cities, that's where the blue collar people live because that's not where their mind is. And that's They're just not.
But an
There's not enough of them.
understated,
That's the problem. There's not enough of
but,
them.
s- but something that's understated in those same blue collar cities is the drug and alcoholism problem. A lot
You
of
think
those
that
towns are
more so than
a lot of
cities?
no in the rural cities. A lot of those towns, as far as in the South, a lot of those towns are drug ridden. Like the town, like
More so than
the
city? Or are you just saying
more
like the
so in the city.
same?
I wouldn't say it's the same. Maybe the ratio is the same, but the ratio is more affected when it's a lower population. So like I don't know how to
Sure, because
explain
there's
it.
less people, so obviously that would make sense. Because there's less people, it's a lot easier to like distribute the drugs. But in
Correct.
this, but in the city,
For
if
example, in the city, you'll find, and I'm not saying this is specific to every city, but in the city, you'll find like coke crackheads and heroin addicts and maybe some people who do meth or whatever. But in the rural places, it'll just be meth. Like it'll be mainly meth. And I'm just saying maybe it's a time thing, maybe it's something we actually have to address as a country, but we're not producing those people that would work those jobs anymore. That's why and it may be a result of those jobs being outsourced already. Why people are turning to those things and have less work to do in these rural places. But a lot of these, you know me, Gene, I've driven, I've driven everywhere damn near. And the one thing that stays consistent in the small towns for me is there's a really bad drug epidemic going on in this country right now, dude.
yeah, I was about to
It's
say it's. I think it's the
bad.
country as a whole. I don't know if, and
But a
I don't think
city
you
is
were
a
saying
mass
it's
of productive people. You get what I'm saying? Like
okay. I see what you're saying.
in a country area, you have mom and pop's land or mom and pop's house that's been passed down or whatever. Like you may
It's
not
their
have the
way of life.
financial burdens to
But
make
there's
yourself have to deal with
actually
like
I want to push back on the productive thing because the problem is the homelessness are in cities, not in rural urban areas. So I actually don't think your point stands.
Well, I guess it
homeless
depends on the
people.
city. To me,
Homeless
the
people
well,
are
to me,
less functioning drug addicts than the people I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who still vote. I'm talking about people who still
But they're
interact in
productive too.
society.
Then
Exactly,
that
but
means they're
there's a
productive
bad
too
drug. But there are more productive. But I'm saying there's more productive people just in mass alone versus the number
in
in a
mass.
city. Like for example,
Technically
there are
speaking, that's
small
right. There's more
cities
people in the
where
cities than the rural. So technically
well, that's what
speaking,
I
yeah,
was saying or going to say, where it's just like you might see like 200, homeless people in a city center, but there's 10 million people in the city,
correct.
and so it's just like
it's a
on
ratio thing.
averages,
So like
yeah,
200 people, then one homeless person, and then you got 20 people, one homeless person. It's like that's a lot comparatively, technically
yeah.
speaking.
Talking about towns where the guy who went to high school, the cop is arresting people he went to high school with. Those towns, those towns, man, I'm telling you, it's bad. America is not addressing the real problem going on right now, dude.
I
I've
agree with you.
never seen it.
I and I think the problem is a lack of faith. I think we have a big problem when it comes to our belief in God. We believe in something that isn't God. We believe I don't even know what it is, but we believe in something that isn't God, and I think it's
Money,
causing all this honestly, yeah, I think God,
probably.
yeah, we believe in money,
They
and
don't have a
what,
purpose. People feel
yeah,
like they don't have a purpose. When you don't have a purpose, you go to drugs. You feel
there's a
like you're
lot of
bored
stuff.
with life. You feel like there's nothing going on where you're at. You're chasing something. So to me, it's that's one of the things to me that's like in the blood of America that we have to kind of purify. Like we have to really work on. Because fentanyl, what fentanyl's doing right now, man, like, dude, there's a drug problem, and we got weed is illegal. So for us to even talking about weed is crazy when corporations are making fentanyl. Like we can't, you literally cannot make it. You're getting it over the counter. You have to somehow get it over the counter. So everybody who's died has gotten it over the fucking counter, and people are dying at that rate. But we still talking about weed. I wish weed ain't smell. If weed didn't smell when you smoked it, y'all be in some look. Y'all be in some shit because y'all really have to let us know why y'all be angry.
Bro, Ethan was so right. I'm watching you talk, and your cap casts such a dark shadow over you that you look like you're in the witness protection program.
Yeah. I've actually been playing that role for the past 5 minutes now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Hey,
saying? I don't
do
want
you have
nobody to
your?
know who I am because I'm spitting some truth.
Yeah.
I'll see if that helped.
It's just the light hits right over the cap's coverage. It looks perfect.
All right. Ethan said, as an atheist, I agree that we need more Jesus in this country. One day, Ethan, keep listening to these conversations. Hopefully, I convert you. I'm working on Doc. Hopefully, I can convert you.
Yeah, I'm too hedonistic.
Yeah, I don't think Doc's an atheist, but he just doesn't believe in a religious praxis, if that's correct, right, Doc?
Nope, nope.
No, like you just don't believe in God. Period.
No, I'm definitely like agnostic.
Yeah, see, like you believe in God, you just don't believe in a religious praxis.
Yeah, I like the idea of pulling pieces from different religions and just kind of holding on to them. I've seen a lot of people say
Thanks,
that's
Ethan.
it's poor structure, but I like it.
Yeah. All right. So John said he had to go, and he decided to talk for another 10 minutes. That's on you.
You're 10 minutes, bro.
I think that's enough fake deep thinking, y'all. We got a little bit deep in this one. Some fun conversations, some crazy stuff going on when it comes to our country. Things
Next
gotta
week
get.
we are definitely talking about the I know we burnt out on it, but we got to talk about that little press conference with the alien bullshit.
I honestly was thinking about talking about that today, but that was my mentality. Was we talked about aliens too much that we're probably going to regurgitate the same thing we've said before. But I'm down. Like they literally finally. Anyway, we'll save it for next week. I'm ready to talk about it for real. Like next week we'll talk about it. So stay tuned. Next week we're talking about the alien conference where they confirmed aliens. Let's go. We're going to deep dive into that one. Thank you all for tuning in, joining this conversation. Thank you all for in the comments, Ethan and Chrissy. If you haven't liked the video, please like it. If you haven't commented, please leave a comment. Love or hate us. If you haven't shared, please share. Bring more people in this conversation. We will. Are you guys back to Mondays? No, we're back on Mondays because Doc got a new job and he's trying to also go back to the gym. He's trying to get his workout in, his fighting skills up. So that's why we had to move back to Mondays. So yeah, Mondays around 7:30 to 8. We haven't really solidified yet between 7:30 to 8 because it depends on when Doc gets back from the gym and when John gets off work. But it's between that time frame we start Eastern or Central, by the way, 7:30 to 8 Central, and then what was it for you, John? 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, that's around the time. That's a new time now. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Yo,
Shout
thanks for
out to the
making it to the
Hebrews.
end. We really appreciate it and hope you all enjoyed the show.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and the notification bell to get notified when we post our clips.
Follow us on Twitter at PodcastFDT. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are all fake deep thinking. Check us out, please.
FDT. Peace, y'all.